First of all, just want to thank everyone for coming out. Very exciting day today. Just want to make sure everyone's set with internet. It's a hidden SSID Ecommerce innovation. The password is interchange lowercase. Is everyone good with internet? Okay. So to start today, Jure has a very nice presentation on template Flute. This has been something that we've been working with Racky on the next version of Interchange. It's pretty interesting in my opinion, so I'm excited to see what Jure has together. And go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jure Kodzoman, for those of you who don't know me. So thanks everybody for coming to the conference. We tried hard in the past few months to make this work and for this conference to happen. And we're really happy to see all of you guys here. My talk is about template Flute. Now, I'm going to try to persuade you to change your templating engine or change the templating engine you're using. I know it's not an easy task, but I'm going to try anyway. So, why another templating engine? There's probably like hundreds of them in the Perl space, and all of them basically offer similar solutions to the same problem. Few of them turned out to be really useful, like Template Toolkit, and people are mainly using that stuff. But we ran into a few problems and wanted to start using something, you might say, completely different. For me, it was the same. I used like Template Toolkit or ITL, and that stuff is good, but it's had some problems which we couldn't work around. So the problem is our designer. No, this is not actually him, but kinda. So he likes leather. He doesn't like learning about templating engines, and sometimes these guys have to work through a variety of programming languages, and they have really a problem learning all this stuff since it's not their, you might say, home territory. The worst of all is he likes Adobe Dreamweaver. Now, this is a huge problem because if you open up like Template Toolkit or whatever in Adobe Dreamweaver, that stuff just, no way. So what happens usually is that you get an HTML template from this guy, and then you have to templatize it. You have to put all this code inside. So in my opinion, this is wrong, because if you already did the template, why do you have to template it again? I mean, it's a template in its own. So the problem is, in my opinion, that like this is the project manager's idea of the process usually. Some of the guys that we run into think it's like this. Project manager makes the specifications, then he sends the stuff to the designer. Designer says, yeah, okay, I make something. He makes the template, goes back to the developer, and then it's just done. But in real world, as we all know, it's like there's a lot of communication here, and then there's some communication here, and they send new specs, and stuff changes, and when the project is out, it's even more changes, so it doesn't work really, and it's slowing down the process. So, okay. So HTML needs fixing all the time. So what you can do is you can do it yourself. Basically, every time designer sends you something, you just fix it. That looks ugly. You will hate your life. And you hate HTML anyway, because I didn't meet any developers that really like coding HTML. You can send it back to the designer and tell him, yeah, you do the stuff, but then he fixes his version, which is not the same as yours, and he crashes your template, and it doesn't work anymore. And you get the blame because you are the developer, so you're supposed to make it work. So our idea was to get rid of weird syntax and use only HTML. Now that would be nice, it would work in all editors, there would be no more templatizing and de-templatizing. These words actually exist, I can do them up. And there's no like redundant work that somebody would have to do. And having special tags inside HTML is, in my opinion, is just wrong. Like if you can have clean HTML, that's much more readable and makes much more sense. So template Flute to the rescue. Now, this isn't an idea that we've originally came up ourselves. We started working with HTML Zoom. Some of you might be acquainted with it. And Rocky and I were discussing, and he came up with this idea to solve the problem. He said, let's just use HTML Zoom. But then it had some problems, and one of our developers started fixing it, but that stuff is, for us, it was impossible to change anything. And some of the stuff there just simply didn't work. So Rocky decided to write a new HTML Zoom called template Flute, which basically uses a similar approach. In a way, it works in a way that you have an HTML where you basically have the stuff that you got. So with all the data, like bogus data that you got inside, like Mr. A test, here is the customer name, then you have customer email, someone at example.com. Then you have the XML file, which basically explains what's in the HTML. Now, the idea is that this could be even in a while, in new versions, this could be even gotten rid of by detecting this stuff in the HTML, but we're still working on that. And then you simply have the Perl where you reference this data and you get the stuff outside. So the good thing is that you can basically send pure HTML back. You always have the HTML is the same as you got it. He can open it in any editor that he wants, and you can simply put it back when he sends it to you. And there's no need to mess with HTML anymore, okay, for the most part anyway. So this obviously isn't enough. So what about lists? This is a bit trickier example. So you have, for example, select widget, option value is example, some color. And in XML specifications, if you put value name is color, iterator is colors. So it knows that it's supposed to iterate through this stuff. And then you just call it in Perl. So the code is really, in my opinion, it's really neat and works nicely. So what happens if I want to hide a bigger chunk of the template? Basically, it's like an if statement. Here you can see a part of the product listing XML spec on the e-commerce site. So if you send the has specs value here, it will just display this part, and if you don't have anything, if you don't put the has specs in Perl, then it just doesn't display this part. So template Flute has a lot more stuff to show, but this is just like a 10-20 minute talk, so I'm not gonna bother you with that stuff. You can Google it all up, check it out on CPAN. Let you discover all the stuff on your own. Some potential interesting stuff about template Flute, in our opinion, is that, okay, one thing is your designer can see results right in the development. So you can give him URLs to the different pages, and then he just picks it up, fixes it, sends it back to you, it still works. It allows customers to use their own templates and makes apps easier to develop. And one big benefit that we see of this system is using in affiliate programs. So if you have an affiliate that would like to have its own HTML or whatever, he doesn't have to make templates anymore. He can just use HTML, change the stuff, and it should still work. So that's about it. Any questions?